Gopi Jana Vallabham Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki Jai, Shri Shri Prahlad Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki Jai. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 20, entitled Lord Vishnu's Appearance in the Sacrificial Arena. And we have text 17. Yes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Maitreya Uvacha. Saitham Lokaguruna Vishvakshenena Vishvajit Anushasita Adesham Shirasa Jagrihe Harehe Maitreya Uvacha Saitam Loka Guruna Vishvakshenena Vishvajit Anushasita Adesham Shirasa Jagrihe Harehe. Let me see, I should have some adapter. And to be able to get the sound out. Mostly. Vaishnavis. You'll figure it out. It's out of focus. Huh? Word by word translation. Maitreya Vacha. Maitreya said, Saha, he, itam, thus, Loka Guruna, by the Supreme Master of all people, Vishvakshenena, by the Personality of Godhead, Vishvajit, the conqueror of the world, Maharaj Prithu, Anushasitaha, being order, Adesham, instructions, Shirasa, on the head, Jagrihe, accepted, Harehe, of the personality of Godhead. Translation, the great saint Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, in this way, Maharaj Prithu, the conqueror of the entire world, accepted the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead on his head. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. One should accept the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by bowing down at the lotus feet of the Lord. This means that anything spoken by the Personality of Godhead should be taken as it is, with great care and attention and with great respect. It is not our business to amend the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or make additions or alterations, as it has become a custom for many so-called scholars and swamis who comment on the words of Bhagavad Gita. Here, Here the practical example of how to accept the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is shown by Prithu Maharaj. This is the way to receive knowledge through the parampara system. Om Gyanati Vrindasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo. Namam Vishabhadaya Krishna Vestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha tarine vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So I thought that since this verse talks about the parampara, and since your leader has selected one of the topic, Ritvik, the Ritvikism. So I was thinking to use the Bhagavatam also to talk about that. What do you think about that? Okay? Sure, but the speaker interacts with the audience. So, I'm not sure exactly why Prabhu asked me to speak about Ritvikism, not specifically this morning, but as a topic of one of these days. I don't know if there are some Ritvik sympathizers in the community, or just because it's in the atmosphere. Yeah, I'll get to that. Yes, yeah, that maybe I should start from that. Okay, Ritvikism or Ritvik Vada or just the Ritvik is the idea that you can take still today directly initiation from Srila Prabhupada. Sounds good, no? That you can become disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Although Srila Prabhupada, of course, left some 48 years ago from this world. So what we call colloquially the Ritviks believe and promote this idea that no, Srila Prabhupada did not want to have a normal Sampradaic succession. He wanted a Sampradaic cessation. If you know the spelling, succession is S-U-C-C-E-C-I-O-N. And cessation is C-E-S-S-A-C-I-O-N. Cessation means stopping. No? So the theory... So Prabhuji, because the verse talks about parampara, I was thinking, let's talk about Ritvikism. Huh? And very good, some of the devotees, or at least one devotee doesn't even know what Ritvik is. So these devotees, and again, I emphasize, they're devotees, they have this theory that Srila Prabhupada did not want to have his disciples continue as regular gurus and initiate their disciples, as has been done from time immemorial in all the Vaishnava Sampradaya. No, he wanted to remain as the Diksha Guru of everyone. So, priests or Ritviks will perform the ceremony and give you a name, and you'll be disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Jai Haribo. How many of you are initiated? You're not initiated? Most of you are initiated. Some who is not initiated, please raise your hand. Oh, okay. So, and this theory somehow has captured the mind of many devotees in the movement, and there are devotees performing this, I would say this farce, but this form of initiation in India, in America, different parts. There is also Ritvik groups in Germany. Yeah. I saw in the Facebook, they are very active. So, okay, let's talk about this, because it's it's an actuality. It's happening as we talk, and there are many videos on YouTube pro or against this theory. And I had the chance to be involved somehow because when this thing came out, I was serving as Japtak Maharaj assistant, personal secretary, so I was traveling with him. So I happened once to accompany him to Bangalore, which was very much the fulcrum of this theory. And in fact, later they split from ISKCON, they created their own ISKCON and so on. And it was very tense. These were all his disciples, initiated disciples, but somehow they turned against being a disciple, and they said, no, we want to be Srila Prabhupada disciples. You are not our guru. You were just a priest performing the initiation on behalf of Srila Prabhupada. So the situation was quite tense. I remember in private, he even told me, would they try to poison me? Should I eat this prasad? He also told me, because at one point we had an open, there were, say, maybe 30 of them, the leaders of the Bangalore, and there was Japtaka Maharaj, and they were very aggressive, they're throwing arguments like that. And then later, Maharaj told me, these people are not very intelligent. They may be engineers, they may have done their engineering, like many people do in India, but they're not very intelligent. In other words, they don't really get the subtlety of the history, of the philosophy, of the theology. So there are many people who have built a following based on this. There's a big group in Singapore. Anyway, so let's start from the word Ritvik. What Ritvik means? The Sanskrit word comes from the word of ritus, season. So the Ritviks in Vedic culture were those priests that would perform large ceremonies, generally on behalf of the king, on behalf of the state. There are two types of homas, or fire sacrifice. One that you can do daily at home, small scale, and some that they need the financing of the whole state, of the whole kingdom, because a private cannot just manage or afford it. So the Ritviks were those priests who will do this large scale, just like in a normal country. There are certain works that you can do, you can sponsor. Say you have to build a path within this community, you can afford, you can collect. But if you had to a road, say from here to Passau or to Berlin, then the state has to get involved. A private cannot do. A private generally cannot do a road from here to Berlin, unless you are Jeff Bezos or somebody like that. So, Ritvik simply means priest. And how is this connected? It's connected because the whole theory is based, or I would say, they try to show that this theory is based on a particular conversation which happened on 28 May 1977. So I wanted to show this conversation, what Srila Prabhupada says, and I want you to hear what Srila Prabhupada says, if we can connect the audio. Okay? So you hear from him. In 1 minute, or whatever. So what happened is this. This is 1977. It's the last year that Srila Prabhupada was with us. He left November 14. So it's only less than 6 months before Srila Prabhupada left this world. He was very sick. He was in Vrindavan, and he did something extraordinary. He called all the GBCs to Vrindavan. And this was very extraordinary because the GBCs just had their own, you know what GBC means. GBC is the governing body commission established by Srila Prabhupada to lead the movement, both in his presence and in his absence. So the GBC had already met in February or March. So to call them back 2 months later was very extraordinary. Srila Prabhupada was very conscious of spending money, Krishna's money, so it was a major expense, was a major, we could say, disruption of their service. They were all over the world doing their service as GBCs. Now they had to come back in Vrindavan after 2 months because the situation was very, very, very urgent, and it was an emergency. Srila Prabhupada himself didn't know how long he would stay. Now we know he would stay 6 months more, but that time he might have left right there. So he wanted all the GBCs. So what happened is that the GBCs wanted to ask some questions for the future, important questions, like who will translate the books, should we do other books besides, or who will finish the Bhagavatam, or should we translate other books, or who will be the future GBCs, how to select them. And one question was how the process of initiation was to continue after Srila Prabhupada's absence. Because from 1966 to 1977, Srila Prabhupada had initiated all the disciples. Everybody in ISKCON was his disciples. There was no doubt. Some he initiated personally, handing the japa, giving the name, and others he had arranged that somebody will do the ceremony on his behalf, give the beads that he had chanted on his behalf, and so on. Because at one point he couldn't just manage to let's say, officiate himself the ceremony of initiation. But it was very clear that everybody was Srila Prabhupada's disciple. It was very clear. So, the GBCs talk among themselves, and they choose 5 of them to go inside Srila Prabhupada's room and ask these questions. So here we are. This is the beginning of this section, and this is all available. I'm quoting Vani source, Vanipedia. Some of you are familiar with that site, Vanipedia. It's got all the quotes, all the lectures, many lectures, conversations are also recorded. So, Satsarup Maharaj asked, Srila Prabhupada, we were all asked by the rest of the GBC to come to ask some questions. Everybody can read? Is it clear enough, big enough? These are the members of the original GBC as you first made it up. So our first question is about GBC members. We want to know how long should they remain in office. We can skip this part because it's not related to today. Srila Prabhupada adds 1 GBC. Okay. So now we come to this. I wanted to try something. We keep the text and we play the audio at the same time, like special effect. Can you put that? So you can read because the voice is not always clear. Shall I play? So we play from our next question concerns initiation in the future, particularly at the time when you are no longer with us. Please try to understand, this is very dramatic. It's the disciple asking the guru, when you are not anymore with us. So there is some tentativeness, there is some, it's a very delicate matter, obviously. You ask your guru, one day you will not be anymore with us. What will happen? Shall we try?
also be considered your disciples?
Yes, they are disciples. We consider. Who?
No, he's asking that these Ritvik acharyas, they're officiating, giving diksha. They're the people who they give diksha to. Whose disciple are they?
They are his disciples. His initiative. His grand disciple.
Yes. Then we have a question.
When I order him to become Guru, he becomes regular Guru. That's all. He becomes a disciple of my disciple. That's all.
Okay. Any reflections, observations, questions? What impression? What impression do you get after this? Because that's it. That's it. There are a few other ideas that we can talk about, but that's it. Yes.
It's very clear. Prabhupada is very clear. He uses the word grand disciple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. In other words, the person who gets initiated is his grand disciple. It's not his disciple, it's grand disciple. Anything else?
At the beginning, I was actually not sure as well, so I can understand maybe this misconception. But at the end, he says he becomes the disciple of my disciple.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He becomes disciple of my disciple. Plain English. Yes? Yeah. 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 I can give you some background on that.
Yes.
Formality.
That is formality, because in my presence one should not become Suguru, so on my behalf. So one could misunderstand this word in the sense that, how to say, as a formality he takes initiation from my disciple, but actually he's my disciple.
Yes.
But I don't think that Srila Prabhupada is meaning it like this. I think he's meaning that this is the formal way of doing, meaning this is the Vaishnava etiquette, that because in my presence you cannot initiate, but afterwards you can initiate.
Okay, my understanding is this. There was some confusion in the question because at that time the initiations were done on behalf of Srila Prabhupada by different leaders in the world, especially GBCs, sannyasis. So, Tamakrishna Maharaj particularly, and Satsuru Maharaj also, because this was going on, so there was this potential confusion. So, whose disciples are them? They are talking. There is a mix-up a little bit in the presentation because they're talking about the present situation. At the same time, they ask also about the future. So it's very good that Srila Prabhupada later goes on and it clarifies. That's why when Satsuru Maharaj says, so they may also be considered your disciples, Srila Prabhupada is kind of perplexed. Yes, they are disciples. Why consider who? You see, it's not clear. What are you talking about? I mean, yeah, they are disciples. Why consider? So Tamakrishna Maharaj, with his usual, very often you see this in the conversation, he's really always trying to cross the T's and dot the I's. No, really clarify. No, he's asking, these Ritvik Acharyas, they're officiating, giving Diksha. They're the people who they give Diksha to. Whose disciple are they? They are his disciple. They are his disciple. Who is initiated? His grand disciple. Yes, that's clear. Now, these have been also analyzed by professionals of speech, and they say the real authorities on this are Satsuru Maharaj and Tamakrishna Maharaj, because they explain scientifically how in a conversation there are so many hints, so many, we could say, body language, And so you say, their understanding is the final understanding because they were there. That's why, who is initiating? He is grand disciple. Nobody object to the meaning of this word. So Satsarup Maharaj say, yes, Tama Krishna, that's clear. And then they want to move on because for them it's clear. For them it's clear. Then we have another question. But Srila Prabhupada goes back. No, when I order you become guru, he becomes regular guru. That's all. He becomes disciple of my disciple. That's it. Now, this was the understanding. This was the recording. After this, these 5 GBCs went back to the larger group, and everybody signed that understanding. It was an official GBC meeting with Srila Prabhupada. It was actually the last GBC meeting with Srila Prabhupada. Now, we could call it Ritviks by the Ritvik, those who follow the philosophy of Ritvikism, they say, they play on 2 words. We may not have time this morning. Up to what time we go? 9. We don't have time to go to all the arguments. But they play on 2 words. One is officiating. The word officiating. Now, officiating, they take it that has to be officiating on behalf of somebody else. But that's not the meaning of the word officiating in English. Officiating simply means one who performs an office, especially religious office. That's all. Officiating means, and you can study the etymology, the root of the word, the dictionary. You don't have to believe me blindly. Officiating means performing the duty of an office, especially a religious office. Like a common usage is officiating a marriage. But there is nothing in the word officiating in English that implies that you are doing on behalf of somebody else. So when they say officiating a charya, doesn't mean they're doing on behalf of somebody else. They're just doing it. They may do the ceremony. But in this case, obviously, Srila Prabhupada makes clear they are accepting their own disciples. So that's the word that some people misunderstand, first of all, and try to misappropriate. The other expression is this. When I order you become guru, he becomes a regular guru. They say, but Srila Prabhupada never gave that order. That's a major sutra that the Ritviks use. And if you will be exposed, if you have some residual karma in your life, and you will be exposed to Ritviks, you will hear that. They will bang on this word so much. When I order. And they say, but he never order. Never order. That's another misunderstanding, that two misunderstandings. First is that when the word when, it implies a future occurrence. When I order. But in English it's not like that. When, it can refer to something also in the past. It's like you have a child, you tell, every day you tell, brush your teeth, or say, wash your hands before coming to table, okay? And then one day you say, when I tell you to wash your hands, you need to wash your hands. You're not saying, when I will tell you in the future, sometime at Christmas I'll tell you, you wash your hands. No, it's something ongoing. It's the default setting. When I tell you to wash your hands, you need to wash your hands. You see, you understand the usage of the word. So, when I order, in fact, Srila Prabhupada quotes Lord Chaitanya himself. Amara Gyaya Guru Anyatare Desh. CC Madhya 7:128, the famous verse, the famous instruction to the Kurma Brahmana. So, he's referring to a standing order, which is there from time I'm not saying time immemorial, but at least from the time of Lord Chaitanya. So the order was already there. And the order has been there throughout Srila Prabhupada's missionary teachings. If there is time and interest, I can show you a number of quotes where Srila Prabhupada specifically says that he wants all his disciples to become gurus. And there are several of these. Once specifically with one scholar who was interviewing Srila Prabhupada for a paper, he was writing a thesis. So he asked, who is taking over after you? He was very clear. He didn't have that hesitation of the disciples. He's a scholar, not a devotee. So Srila Prabhupada say, all of them will take over. I'm training all of them to become gurus. So I can summarize this whole Ritvikism in one word. Hallucination. And I tell you, I studied this in depth. I studied this in depth. Hallucination, what is an hallucination? Hallucination is when the senses or the mind perceive objects which don't exist. It could be depending on some malfunctioning of the brain, or sometimes because of intoxication for drugs. Like people take acid, they see things that they're not there, but they see things. So, take it from me or study yourself. Your choice is. This Ritvik idea, it just doesn't exist. Srila Prabhupada never said it, never taught it, never promoted. I don't think he ever dreamed about it. Because it's not the system. No Vaishnava Sampradaya has ever practiced this system that the Acharya lives and he keeps giving initiation. It's just not done. It's never been done. And not only that, they say, no, but Srila Prabhupada could have done it. Maybe, but he didn't do it. And if he wanted to change his teachings on this very crucial aspect, no, guru-disciple, very crucial aspect of spiritual life, he would have repeated again and again in conversation, in lectures, in the books. I did a little research. He spoke literally tens of thousands of times. I'm not exaggerating. Tens of thousands of times. You search Vanipedia, the word spiritual master, the word guru. I'm taking them as a group, as a constellation of words. A Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, initiating, initiator, initiation. And he never says anything even close to that he wanted to remain the Acharya like that. But because sometimes devotees are simple. Devotees are simple. And when you bang on these things, and when you hammer on this thing, many people believe, or maybe they join in those groups, so that's the philosophy. No. That's a philosophy they accept. And I'm not saying they cannot advance. This is the other aspect. I'm not saying they cannot advance. Some of those who take initiation from Srila Prabhupada to a Ritvik. Sometimes they're very nice devotees. I was talking with a Srila Prabhupada disciple the other day. He was saying that they're very respectful. And in fact, when they see I won't say a real Srila Prabhupada disciple, because for them, all of them are real. But when they see a Srila Prabhupada disciple, they're very respectful. So, oh, you are direct disciple, which is in one sense contradictory because they're all disciples, right? But when they see a Srila Prabhupada disciple, like we intend Srila Prabhupada disciple, took initiation from Srila Prabhupada in the presence of Srila Prabhupada, they're very respectful. Oh, Srila Prabhupada, direct disciples. So they know that they are indirect disciples, but still they say indirect disciple. And in one sense, in a limited sense, it doesn't really change the dynamics of guru and disciples, because they simply accept this ritvik, the person who gives the initiation, as their guru, as their authority. And in fact, some of these ritviks who give actual japa name, they have more authority in the sense, more control on the life of this so-called Srila Prabhupada disciples than ISKCON gurus have on the life of their disciples. Because many of us, we may be initiated in ISKCON, but many of us, we don't have a daily interaction with the guru. Some of us, we see him once in a while, and how many direct personal instructions we get. Of course, whatever the guru says in a lecture is an instruction. But for practical reason, managerial reason or engagement reason, you have your senior devotees who engage you. You are distributing books. Yesterday you made 20 books. Congratulations. In the first ever Nuremberg Ratha. So, it's not that the guru, of course, you're not initiated, but even if you were initiated, it's not the guru who will tell you, give this book first, give the book second, or just sell this book. Those are done by the people around you, by your seniors. So, these retreats are actually regular gurus. Like Srila Prabhupada say, they are regular gurus in one sense. They are regular gurus, if you catch the paradox. Because they choose when this person can be initiated. They choose the name. And often they have a very strict and direct control on the life of these people. Because guru-disciple relation, it's an archetype. It's a sociological, psychological, and spiritual archetype. There's a guru and there is a disciple. Initiation has been taking place in many, many different forms, but the relation, there is a guru, there is a disciple, there is a teacher. We are not even talking about Vaishnavism. We are not even talking about Vedic or Hindu tradition. Even in Christianity, there is a teacher and there is a student, there is a master, there is a disciple. In the Greek philosophy, there is a master. These are archetypes. So you cannot change. You may say, no, but you're a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, but you're telling me what to do day by day. And you're telling me what not to do day by day. So, I remember when this was very hot, it's still hot in India, but when it was the birth of this deviation, again, I was serving with Jayapataka Maharaj, so it might have been 1999, and Jayapataka Maharaj was presenting some seminars at the Gaur Purnima, so international festival, devotees from all over the world. And I was assisting, putting together some PowerPoint, researching some quotes. So then we had 4 days about Guru Tattva, and we had planned, Jayapataka Maharaj, with my little help, we planned 2 days on Ritvikism, because it was very, very hot in India, so arguments flying around. So then Jayapataka Maharaj gave the first seminar, and then he announced to the international devotees, many from Europe, say, so tomorrow we'll do second part. And the devotees said, no, it's enough. We don't want to hear more. They were not interested. For them, this evidence and other evidence, it was enough. They were not interested. For us who are in India, we said, no, it's important. We need to go through all the angles, all the perspectives, But for them, I remember, no, Maharaj, thank you. No, let's talk something else. Because actually it's quite basic. We could talk more about this dialogue, but you saw and you heard the dialogue. So that's what Srila Prabhupada says. There is disciple who is initiating. He is grand disciple. He is grand disciple. I mean, the disciple becomes grand disciple. He goes back. He becomes disciple of my disciple. That's it. Because this is what Srila Prabhupada has been teaching from the beginning. All the acharyas have been teaching this from the beginning. This is what the Shastra says, and that's it. But if you are interested in going deeper in this topic, we have something for you. We have a free book, you can download it, 100 Deviations of Ritvikism. Ritvik Mayavada Shatadushani. We chose this title because traditionally, the Madhvas, when they want to attack the impersonalists, Shatadushani, like 100 deviation, 100 mistakes of a certain theory. Actually, in the book, there are more than 100. There are 130. So what we did was under Japtaka Maharaj supervision, but we had 4 or 5 people who took all the arguments of the Ritviks and addressed them. Like we've seen briefly now, right? Like, okay, when I order officiating, there are so many arguments. So this addresses all the arguments. So if you want to spend your precious life of your human form of life researching this topic, it's available, and you can go here, archive.com. You may know this site. This archive everything. So you go there. There are a bunch of books that this was a co-authoring. You can download it for free. You can spend the long winter nights study. So this is the introduction and hopefully the conclusion. But if you have other questions, yes, 1, 2, 3? No.
Hare Krishna. So the question is, of course, even it's so clear, maybe you can talk about the sociological or psychological reason why it became so successful. And part of it is disappointment in leaders, I guess.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. See, the history of ISKCON, especially ISKCON gurus, is quite checkered, especially at the beginning, after Srila Prabhupada left. After Srila Prabhupada left the GBC in February 1978, officialized that 11 devotees, 11 members of ISKCON were officially initiating gurus. The famous first 11 gurus. Okay? Now, most of them, unfortunately, had spiritual problems. Most of them left their sannyas ashram, left their service as guru. This certainly, you mentioned psychologically, certainly created a fertile ground for people to look at a different system, because the system wasn't working. These devotees, were supposed to represent Srila Prabhupada, represent the Parampara, be guru, Sakshat Dharitvina, represent God, at least in terms of messaging, and they were falling left and right. Within 86 already, most of them were gone. So people, yeah. And plus, unfortunately, this is an internal audience, but still there are gurus who have their own problems. Have you heard about Facebook? So if you happen to navigate, you'll see, unfortunately, they still have problems. And this happened, it's not a new thing. It's not an ISKCON monopoly that gurus have problems. My wife was born in a Madhvacharya family line, and even the Madhvas have sannyasis falling down. Not just one, more than one. And they also had to deal with that. And even the associate of Lord Chaitanya, Narahari Sarkar, the one we sing every day, Narahari Adhikari Chamaradulaya. He was a very close associate. He didn't fall down, but he wrote a book. Wrote a book, what to do when the Guru falls down. That means even at the time of Lord Chaitanya, there were problems. So he gives, it's called Shri Krishna Bhajanamrita. You can find it also on the internet. And he says, when the Guru fall down but is not super fallen, the disciple should preach strongly to the Guru. Guru Maharaj, come on. I mean, you've been teaching, I mean, this is my paraphrase, but Guru Maharaj, come on, you taught me for 20 years, this is not a behavior, come on. Come on, what is this Maya that you got, Because, we are weak, we are souls, we are small. And if the Guru is really fallen, is not is really fallen, meaning is deviated also philosophically, become atheistic or becomes Mayavadi, then you should cut the connection. Thank you, whatever you gave me good, I accept, I'm grateful, but I can't associate with you anymore. So, what is a guru? I remember Hridayananda Maharaj summarized once very quickly, said, the guru is a good devotee who helps you becoming a good devotee. Now, a good devotee can have trouble. So yes, there was a situation in which sociologically, psychologically, people were looking for alternative. This system is not working. This system is not working. Therefore, this is the logical fallacy. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada must not have wanted this system because it's not working. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada must become or remain the only guru, the only Diksha guru. It's not going to fall, especially after disappearance. So, it was like a neat, quote unquote, a neat conclusion. No more, if you only have Srila Prabhupada's guru, you don't have any more falling gurus. The problem is that it's bogus. The problem is that it's an imagination, it's an illusion. Otherwise, we could take Krishna as guru. He's Achyuta and never falls. Everybody takes initiation on behalf of Krishna, and Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, is even more merciful, so maybe you want to Lord Chaitanya. So, see, he is Loka Guruna, it's written there. It's written there, Loka Guruna, he is the guru of everybody. So we could have some priest, we have many priests, and we have a priest, give initiation, your disciple, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Problem solved. And the other thing is propaganda. You can establish anything by propaganda. And actually, it was Goebbels who said that, what he said? Goebbels was the propaganda minister of Hitler. And he said that when you tell a lie and you repeat it, I'm paraphrasing, more, and bigger is the lie, and more is, more is believable.
Yeah, the bigger the lie, the more easily it stands.
Yeah, because people think, well, it is so strange that if it was not a lie, nobody would say that, right? If it was not true, nobody would say that. So you could see in India, especially, there are all sorts of gurus. Happy gurus, sad gurus. But the point is that anything you say, somebody will believe it. especially if you say repeatedly. So the Ritviks, again, colloquially we say the Ritviks, they keep banging, hammering. And there are different kind of schools of Ritviks. They don't work together. And each one produces their own videos with their own arguments. And they're very, very fired up. Very fired up. Very convinced. Scientifically speaking, because you say psychologically, people accept something as true also depending on the conviction of the presenter. If you are very convinced, people will believe in you. And I'm not saying all the Ritviks are convinced, but some of them are totally convinced. Because they have been really brainwashed. They came up like that, you know. They really believe that. They really believe that. And they don't have exposure to other things, or it's just like confirmation bias. Whatever they hear, like, without mentioning any name, recently there was a guru in ISKCON who had problems, sensual problems, but there is a good chance that it is because of mental problems. No, I mean, like very old, they stopped following regulative principles. And the Ritviks take that, you see? Because they have betrayed Srila Prabhupada. They didn't become all Ritviks, therefore these things happen. They use anything. And many people are innocent. Many devotees, and again, these are devotees, there are thousands of devotees. I just saw a video in Malaysia, one leading Ritvik in Singapore, and he had rented the whole stadium. They had the Ratha Yatra with 3 carts, and some local minister came, they had Bharatanatyam dancing, and there were about 10,000 people. And these are Ritviks. So, but if you have a relation with the person made you devotee, gave you the Bhagavad Gita, you believe him. Why not? Why not? And you can see one little addition. This is a very, very relevant chapter, 420, because what happened? I don't know how many of you have been following these verses. How many of you have been following these verses, this whole chapter? Or some of you may be just visiting. But the whole thing is about the conflict between Indra and Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj was doing the 100 sacrifice. He wasn't interested in becoming Indra, but Indra felt, he wants to become Indra, so I had to stop. So then he stole the horse. And to protect himself from the son of Prithu Maharaj, who wanted to kill him, Vijitashva, then, because he took the horse back, then the Indra stole it again. Then he started dressing as sannyasi. And the Acharya explained, he started many bogus philosophies just to save his post. But what happens? And this was a big deviation, because philosophical deviations are the worst deviation, the most severe. What happened? Vishnu kept him on. He's doing a job. He has his own problems, but he's doing a job. You keep him on. In fact, this verse comes after the last verse spoken by Narayana, Vishnu. Prithu accepts. Vishnu tells him, let it be 99. No, who cares? We are not worshipper of numbers. You're not interested. Prithu was not interested. He was doing just out of duty, out of bhakti. Indra is so attached. Let him be. Even after Indra inundated Braj, Krishna kept him up. So there is this thing, sometimes confusing. Some of us come from a Judeo-Christian background, and the tendency is, okay, you make a mistake, you go to hell. The Vedic concept is a little different. there is also hell, but it's not so automatic that you made a mistake, now you go to hell. No, not only you don't go often, not only you don't go to hell, but you remain Indradev. And Krishna is comfortable with that, which, again, for us from this part of the world, may be a little bit difficult to understand. Because he was deviating. He was deviating. I mean, it's not that there is no doubt, was Indra deviating or not? No. He deviated by stealing the horse. You don't steal the horse of a sacrifice. They don't teach you that at the Bhakta program. And not only that, you don't mask yourself as a sannyasi, a new sampradaya, a new thing, just to keep your post. You don't do that. So Indra was clearly deviating. But Vishnu appears and says, okay, let him become, let him remain Indra. Having a post is not so dear to the heart of the Lord. He can give post to anybody. So these Ritviks, yeah, sometimes they're more successful than the local ISKCON. So how it happens? Well, because they preach. And anybody who preach, this is a sociological point, history of religion and sociology of religion. Whoever preaches the most makes most followers, independently of what you preach. There is a famous Dr. Stark, Professor Stark, who died recently. He was one of the main giants of sociology of religion. He says, if you keep track of who knocks on your door, those are the religions that will grow. So these Ritviks preach in a normal way, I mean book distribution and everything, and also preach there is Ritvikism. So people accept. People are not so interested in going, okay, give me initiation bell for sure, bro. Okay. Yes, 1, 2, 3. I think we need to finish soon, so we'll try to be brief. Sorry. Yes.
Recently, I had a thought that on book distribution many times, and maybe also as a devotee in general, sometimes when we'll meet some Christian people and they bang the statement that Jesus Christ is the only way. I was thinking, the Ritviks, we call them Ritviks, is it a similar phenomenon?
Similar. Yeah.
They say Jesus Christ. They don't speak about a living spiritual master or teacher.
It's similar, yeah. Similar in the sense it's not a disciplic succession, it's a disciplic cessation. You stop the disciplic succession. It's comfortable. It, quote unquote, it works if it was not a bogus system. Because Jesus, he cannot fall down, and Jesus at least is accepted as very, very special. Son of God. The Christians accept him as perfect. He performed miracles. It was very powerful. So, it's the only way. Scholars say that only way in Greek, which by the way it was not the language that Jesus spoke, but if you go back, that only way has a very strong emphasis on present. So it's not that he said, just like Srila Prabhupada never said, I'm the Diksha Guru now and forever. He could have said, it's two sentences. I am the Diksha Guru now and I will remain the Diksha Guru. Until there is an ISKCON, I am the Diksha Guru. And you act on my behalf, you give japas and stuff. He could have said, he never said anything like that. I remember Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, who is one of those who spent time with Srila Prabhupada personally. He knew how Srila Prabhupada worked. He said once, he gave an analogy. He said this, when Srila Prabhupada wanted to make a point, he would make it so repeatedly and so clearly that you cannot miss it. And he gave an example. Once in Mayapur, again at Gaur Purnima, people would come, and somebody brought a photo of a drama in front of the deities. And the drama was performed with the back at the deities. So Srila Prabhupada said, this is not good. This is not good. He made the point very strong. Then any leader will come into the room, you know the room in the Lotus building in Mayapur? So any person will show Srila Prabhupada will show the picture. So what do you think? And the sannyasi says, oh, very nice drama. No, they're doing the drama with the back at the deities. This is not the way to do a drama. Then another Prabhu comes, what do you see? Oh, beautiful Srila Prabhupada. No. So Ravindra Swami would use this example that if he wanted to say something, especially something so revolutionary, he will make it again and again and again. Instead, you can see this. You can see this. Record the conversation. He doesn't say anything like that. It's a bit. It can be potentially confusing because they're talking about two things: the present and the future. But then he clarifies: disciple of his disciple, regular gurus, his grand disciple. What was your question? I forgot completely. The Jesus thing. Yeah. It's we could say it's a marketing technique. It's a branding technique. You have a very good person in your Buddha, or you have a very strong person, and you refer everybody to him, because you know other people are fallible, so they become legends. They become myths. And myths don't fall down. People are still worshiping Hitler, right? And I hear he was not a very good character. But he was strong. He was strong. He took this nation from the rubbles of the First World War to being the most successful nation on earth, the most powerful, influential. Everybody was afraid. So people tend to freeze in time when they see something that they can relate to, they can identify with, some idea of success, they tend to freeze on time. And of course the other people who follow, they refer to him. So in Italy there are still people who worship Mussolini. Strong man, did the same, actually did it before Hitler, raised Italy to the level of great respect in the world. So they freeze. So freeze on Jesus, freeze on Mussolini, freeze on Hitler, freeze on Srila Prabhupada. It's the same process. It's 9 o'clock. Should we stop here? We have a hand up.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Danvat Pranam. On a more of a practical question now that we have discussed this. So if you meet a Ritvik on the street, how shall a devotee behave?
Oh.
I mean, how should
No, the question is fine. No, I'm just saying how much time you want to spend with. No, they have this magazine, Back to Prabhupada. Why you should give your back to Prabhupada?
Not in a way to convince them, but as a general dealings with them as a devotee.
Generally, I don't know. There are thousands of them. They may not be open to listen. It's just like a book distributor. How much you want to spend time with the person who doesn't want the book? No, I'm not interested. Danke. You go to somebody else. So, in general, as a general thing, I won't waste time. The attitude. Oh, there are people who are. I don't know. This is serious. I don't want to make any joke. So the attitude. They are devotees. A devotee of Krishna, devotee of Lord Chaitanya, devotee of Nishingadev. I'm sure some of the Ritviks visit. They may not. You may not know they are Ritviks, but they may visit because they go to temples, holy places. They are devotees of Srila Prabhupada in their own way. And they got connected in that way, they have been brainwashed, frankly speaking, brainwashed that this is what Srila Prabhupada wanted. And I mean, in one sense, you can have compassion. In one sense, you can have respect as devotees, as Vaishnavas. They are doing devotional service. So that's why this chapter is so important. Krishna, so it's difficult to understand Krishna, okay? Because he doesn't have our own background. In one sense, he doesn't have any background because he's eternal, but he's always been Krishna. But the way he thinks, sometimes it's difficult to understand. Like here, Indra, he keeps him up. He keeps him up. See, if you were writing the script, probably some of us will write that Vishnu appears, punishes Indra in some way, maybe demotes him, and then, okay, Prithu Maharaj finished this 100 sacrifice. I mean, if we were writing the script, we probably would think like that. But he didn't stop. So, and I tell you something, I don't know if I should tell, but I would not be surprised if these Ritvik followers, those who are simple devotees and they take initiation, they may even go back to God. I won't be surprised they go back to God. We even the most we could say loyal and diligent devotees have different opinions on the origin of the soul, right? We will not start at 903 on that, but on the origin, you heard, right? If you are in ISKCON since some time, you heard some people say something, some people say something else, some people say a third thing, but they're good devotees. They're all good devotees. So from what I understand from the Bhagavatam, very limited, Krishna is not going at the time of death, oh, you had the wrong origin of the Jiva philosophy. You are not coming. I don't see that happening, no? So imagine a devotee in Gujarat. Simple devotee, nice family, Hindu family, background. He goes to their temple, a Ritvik temple, and he starts chanting Hare Krishna, chants 16 rounds, he reads the book, becomes an avid reader of Srila Prabhupada books, and then he tells, now you should take initiation from Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada said this, blah, 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 or the whole thing. And then he takes initiation, okay? Then he takes second initiation. He continues serving, he gives donations, he goes on the altar, then he dies. I'm not surprised if he goes back to God. Why not? Krishna might just say, it's okay. Om Tat Sat. Grantara Shima. Oh, you want to say something?
It's a short question, but because when this topic came up recently again in India, the Ritviks, they generously offered, we will join ISKCON again if our system is also accepted within ISKCON. And then my question was if ISKCON made a counter offer, which more or less would be all the Ritviks should become gurus.
See, a few days ago, I had a talk with the chairman of the GBC, His Grace Govardhan Prabhu, based in South Africa, about this. And I'm not at liberty to share. Let's say, in a very general sense, that even within ISKCON, there are different opinions, as usual. There are different opinions on how to deal with that offer. Let's keep it like that for now. We'll see what will happen. Jai Gratara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Don't become disciples of Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Unless you already are, of course. You can be grand disciple. So you get more in one sense, because you get Srila Prabhupada, you get full, and on top you get a person who is dedicated to Srila Prabhupada as your personal as your personal physically present guru. It's a better deal. Yes, so you want him as a father or as a grandfather, right? Very good point.